Over the past 2 decades, gravel cycling has exploded in popularity and competitiveness. In 2022, Sofía Gómez Villafañe made a splash when she won a prestigious race called Unbound on her very first attempt. Every year, thousands of cyclists convene for this event in the Flint Hills of eastern Kansas. The dry soil and rocky terrain there make an ideal proving ground for gravel cycling. Winning Unbound positioned Sofia as one of the best gravel racers in the US, but her journey to the top has been a little unconventional. She started competing as a teenager with a bike her brother found on Craigslist. I'm Shelby Stanger, and this is Wild Ideas Worth Living, an REI Co-op Studios production presented by Capital One and the REI Co-op MasterCard. Sofía Gómez Villafañe, welcome to Wild Ideas Worth Living. It's really good to have you here. You've raced and won some of the hardest gravel courses on earth, and I think we should start with the Craigslist story. Tell me the day you got a bike on Craigslist and how you got into it.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me on. Excited to be on the podcast. So I grew up in Argentina and then I moved stateside. My mom's American, so it was a pretty easy transition to move to the US, and I have a bajillion siblings, so I'm the fifth of six. And one of my older brothers, he was always super into like outdoor activities, where it was like skiing, kayaking, rock climbing, cycling, anything outdoors he was all about. And he discovered this program that was basically these group of kids from each high school would get together and like train, and then every weekend they would go somewhere and like compete against each other. So it was a way of having cycling as a high school sport, which is not a normal thing. Normally it's soccer, lacrosse, swimming, track, football, all those things. So he got my sister to race, and I was always going to the races because my parents weren't going to leave me home alone. So, it wasn't necessarily hey, are you going to race or not? Because I was like, well, I'm going to these events anyways, might as well participate. And yeah, my brother found me this bike from Craigslist, and, it was super light and it was really cool, but it wasn't anything too fancy. But that was like my first race bike.
How old were you when you actually came to the States? And then how old were you when you got that first bike?
When we moved to the States, I was 12, so I got to do middle school and high school, and then I started cycling right when I got into high school.
Was that a pretty big transition for you, coming from Argentina to the United States?
Huge. And I think that transition really like formed me who I am as a person, because it's not necessarily that you have to grow up so quickly, but you just learn a lot of life lessons, and there's certain things that I kick myself for, my understanding of America was everything that I saw in movies, and I thought it was like the mean girls, the popular girls, the jockeys and all that stuff. And it wasn't quite like that, but I also didn't really enjoy having an accent. So I work really, really hard to get rid of it. And now I kind of wish I would have kept it, because I think it just adds, I don't know, I just think it's cool to be different. And to be honest, that was like one of the things that really attracted me to cycling, was the fact that it was a sport that not a lot of people did, and not a lot of girls did as well. So it kind of just, it really appealed to me, the idea of this is something different and something that not a lot of people are doing. And you get to be outdoors all day.
Sofia started competing at an elite level when she was just a teenager, and her early success sparked a dream of turning the sport into a career. By her junior year in high school, she was already racing in the Mountain Bike World Cup.
I went to go race a World Cup, which happened to be on the East Coast of the US, and I finished dead last. And I was like, oh man, maybe I'm not cut out to do this as a job. Like, I am not that good.
After that race, Sofia put her professional cycling dreams on hold and focused on school. She enrolled at Fort Lewis College in Durango, Colorado, where she studied exercise science and led the school's bike team. In her spare time, she participated in local cyclocross races. That's where she met her coach, Carmen, who helped her rekindle her dream of going pro.
Within cycling, there's all these different disciplines, and then there's this one called cyclocross that it's done in the late fall, early winter to late winter, I would say. And it's a really small circuit, and you do a bunch of laps, and your race is no longer than like 45 minutes to an hour. And this woman, Carmen Small, who lived in Durango, where I was going to school, she was a professional road racer. She won a world championship title in team time trial. And then I think one year she got a bronze medal at the individual time trial. So super badass lady. And she would jump into these cross races just for fun and to train. And I would get to race her. And anytime it was a technical course or there was mud, I would beat her pretty good. But then if it was a fast fitness race, then she would beat me. So we kind of had this like kind of rivalry going on. And one day she just approached me and she was like, hey, like, who's coaching you? And I was like, oh, I'm not being coached by anybody. Like, I'm going to school full time. I'm financially independent. So I have like a 20-hour a week job that I have to do. And if I'm paying a coach, $100 to $300 a month, that's more hours I have to work. And those are the hours that I currently have to ride my bike. So she was like, I'd be interested in just coaching you for free. Like, I had so many people through my career help me out. And I think, you're talented. So like, let's talk about it. And I was like, she wants to coach me. So I stopped beating her at these races, And then, another race week goes by and she like nudges me again. And she's like, come over for coffee. Like, let's just come over, sit down. Let's like have a conversation. So I went over to her house and, she kind of sat me down. And that's when she was like, I think you have all the talent to go to the Olympics. You just have to train because you're not really training. Like, all your results that you have are running on pure talent. So I was like, sure, I'll give it a try. And yeah, that fall I won collegiate cyclocross nationals, and then I got second in the U23 race, went to the world championships, and I was like, oh, let's keep this going for like the spring season and see how it goes. And every year we just kept working together, and by now she's like one of my best friends. She was a bridesmaid at my wedding recently, and yeah, it's kind of crazy to just have somebody see talent and be willing to invest their time into like seeing that person succeed. And, to this day, there's a lot of people that got me to ride a bike and helped me in the early stages, but she's the one that created me into the cyclist that I am today.
Under Carmen's guidance, Sofia qualified for the 2021 Tokyo Olympics, where she represented Argentina in cross-country mountain biking. But despite competing on the world's biggest stage, she found the experience less fulfilling than she'd expected, and afterward, she felt ready for a new challenge. The following year, Sofia discovered gravel racing, a discipline that was a perfect mix of strength, agility, and endurance. Gravel races can stretch anywhere from 50 to 200 miles, often lasting over 10 hours. They usually take place in the countryside, jumping between paved dirt and gravel roads. In her very first season of the sport, Sofia won Unbound, the premier race in gravel cycling.
2022, I won Unbound for the first time. First time doing the event. To win it was like a pretty big statement. And, I had gone from racing 90-minute races to now I won a race in like 10 and a half hours. That was 200 miles.
Finishing in the top 10 at Unbound can be a career-defining moment. The fact that she won on her first attempt put Sofia on the map, and it drew a lot of attention from the cycling industry. Since then, Sofia has also won 3 first-place titles at the Lifetime Grand Prix, a prestigious series that spans both mountain and gravel cycling. What have you learned about yourself, like, over the course of this big career in cycling?
That's a good question. I think what I've learned about myself is I put my full trust in the people that I choose to be part of my team. So where that's my cycling coach, my strength coach, nutritionist, whatever it is, like I never think I'm the smartest person in the room. I like to surround myself with people that are smarter than me. And, when they're telling me, okay, you should try this, you should try that, I am willing to try it and see if I like it or not, rather than just make the assumption of like, oh no, that's not for me. Like, I'm just willing to trust that my coach knows what's best. And if she tells me today I'm taking it off, I'm taking it off. And if she tells me today I'm riding 4 hours, I will ride 4 hours. I won't ride 5, you know?
That's amazing. You are a good listener. I was never that good of a listener. If like someone told me to ride only 4 hours, I would ride 5 or 3. That's amazing.
And I think like in our, especially in our little bubble of cycling, there's this trend of doing more, you know, like obviously I'm doing, our biggest race of the year is Unbound 200-mile race in Emporia, Kansas. And it takes us 10 and a half plus hours. It could be up to like 12 if it's a muddy year. And a lot of the girls are going out and training 8, 9, 10 hours, you know, on the bike a day. And my longest ride is 6 hours. You know, I'll race for longer, but I don't train more than 6 hours. But, yeah, I don't care to compare my training with what other people are doing, because each athlete is so different and we're so individual that what works for me isn't going to necessarily work for you. So,
well, that's interesting. I mean, there's a big theory that you training less but harder will help you win longer races. I mean, you've won Unbound Gravel, which is the 200-mile race, which probably took you, 10 hours or?
10 and a half that year.
10 and a half. So how does that work?
I think, you know, with my coach, we have this theory that you need to be able to train half of the time that your race is. So like if you're doing a 12-hour day, like for your peak race, as long as you can sustain half of that and you do 6 hours in training, like you're good, you know, for a single session. But we just don't care to match the training hour to the race hour.
Cycling is one of the hardest sports in the world. You have to be so fit and precise, so disciplined. It's also like it takes you places. You get to see cool things. Is there a place where you just love riding because the landscape is so stunning?
Trying to figure out how to answer that question, because I don't say I ride my bike, I train on my bike. Like, it's very rare that I have these epic adventures, just go ride your bike. Like, the majority of my time on the bike is very specifically focused on achieving something. That being said, my sister got married last year in Argentina, and we flew down and kind of extended our time there to do a bit of a training camp. And it was in my hometown. And I got to discover the place that I grew up in through the means of the way that I live my life now. So it was really cool to go back to my hometown and ride all of these roads and go to these lakes and kind of experience the place that I grew up, that I have so many memories that weren't of the bike, and kind of get to connect them now of like, oh, that epic mountain that we used to go up to go ski, like I can now ride my bike to the top of that hill, or I can do this really big loop that used to be like a pretty big adventure when I would go, you know, in the car with my dad to go fish at a certain spot. So that was probably the best, most unique experience I've had of just, kind of getting to go back to the place that shaped me into the person that I am today and experience it through cycling.
Many of you know that one of the highlights of last summer was taking this show in front of a live audience for the first time ever at Outside Days. I'm excited to share that the festival is coming back bigger and better this year, May 29th through 31st in Denver, Colorado. Outside Days is a 3-day festival packed with music and outdoor fun. This year, the music lineup is stacked. Death Cab for Cutie, My Morning Jacket, Cage the Elephant, and many more. If you have the REI Co-op MasterCard, your festival gets even better. Card members get express entry, 15% off eligible festival merch, food, and beverage, plus access to the Capital One cardholder lounge to recharge between sets. Early bird pricing ends April 1st. Buy tickets now in the link in the show notes. Don't have the card? See if you're pre-approved for the REI Co-op MasterCard with no risk to your credit score. Apply today and we'll see you in Denver. Terms apply. If your wild ideas include trailheads, navigating uneven terrain, or even just recharging by the campfire, let me introduce you to the Teva Hurricane XLT3. Built for hiking and all-day wear, it's the next evolution of a Teva favorite, but with an extra 5 millimeters of added foam underfoot for even more comfort and an updated outsole for improved traction. But don't worry, the Hurricane XLT3 keeps everything you loved about the original. Quick dry straps, a padded heel, and Teva's adjustable universal strapping system for a dialed-in fit. The cherry on top, the straps are made from 100% Repreve recycled plastic, so you can feel good about every step. Check out the Hurricane XLT3 at your local REI or at rei.com. See you on the trail. You know that feeling when the trail turns a corner and boom, in front of you is a massive mountain or jaw-dropping canyon vista? Now imagine that view is in Peru, Alaska, or Morocco. REI Co-op is teaming up with the globe-trotting experts at Intrepid Travel to bring you a curated mix of global and domestic trips that are outside the ordinary, with bucket list destinations, small groups, and local leaders who actually know the place you're exploring. The best news is that members save more with exclusive member pricing. Starting March 15th through the end of April, REI Co-op members get an additional $100 off all REI and Intrepid trips over $1,000. And that's on top of existing member travel benefits. The only question is, where will you go? Explore the REI and Intrepid travel collections at rei.com/travel. That's rei.com/travel. Terms apply. When gravel cyclist Sofía Gómez Villafañe lines up for a race, she's preparing to cover hundreds of miles over dusty roads and rocky trails. These events can be hot, muddy, and physically punishing, with long mountain climbs and fast technical descents. But Sofia thrives in those conditions. They're part of what she loves about the sport. She's more concerned with the big picture of how these races are structured. Because her husband is also a professional gravel cyclist, Sofia has had a front row seat to the disparities in how men and women are treated in the sport. You've been really outspoken about separating men's and women's races. Why does that matter to you?
I think the biggest reason why I was the loudest voice in advocating for separate starts for men and women is because at the end of the day, I would do a race and I would come home and talk to my now husband about his race. And we were in the same race, yet the way that our races unfolded were completely different.
For many years, men and women started these races together in massive packs. As the miles wore on and the terrain grew tougher, the pack would splinter into smaller groups known as selections.
A selection is like, let's say there's 100 of you and then you go up this 5-minute climb. And obviously some people are faster, some people are slower. And then the group kind of tends to break into 2, 3, 4, whatever groups.
Selections matter because of a technique called drafting. When you're racing behind someone, they block the wind, allowing you to conserve a significant amount of energy. Because men generally ride at faster speeds, a woman who can draft behind the right group of male riders can gain an advantage over her competitors.
I just wanted to have fair racing with the women, and I wanted it to be like, no, I won this race because I was the strongest female, not because I got lucky on making this group of men and then they kind of towed me around for another 100 miles or whatnot. And I also really understand a lot of the business side of the sport. And, you know, a lot of the women were struggling to get coverage because when you're starting in the mass pack, you know, 1st through 10th place women could really be separated by like 20 or 30 minutes because we're making all these selections with the men where, you know, the men's racing, the top 20, 30 are a lot closer together. So, you know, as a sponsor, why would I sponsor 10th place in the women when I'm not going to get much coverage, when I can sponsor 10th place in the men and actually get some visibility? So I think it was just having such a clear view of the inequality from race experience to earning potential, really.
That makes sense. Is that changing or is it?
Yeah, it definitely has changed. Like the big series that we do in the US called the Lifetime Grand Prix, all of those events, women have their own start. And then they also implemented drafting rules, which was part two of my advocacy. Because I'm like, okay, you give us separate start, but once we start to get mingled with really fast amateurs or slower pro men, we're back to the same thing. So they introduced that this year and they had a lot of success with it, and not, their biggest thing was like, how do we enforce this? And they were always thinking, okay, worst case scenario. But they actually never really had any problems with people from different groups drafting each other. So it kept the racing super nice and fair. But yeah, it's been crazy. Like at first, since my very first gravel race, I really advocated for separate starts, no drafting rules. And a lot of the girls that were already racing, they were like, no, like it's the ethos of the event is you have to keep it together. And a year or two go by, and those same women that wanted to keep it together were like just as as vocal as I was about needing to have it separate race, because they finally understood just how unequal our experience is to that of the pro men. And some of those girls went too far as say like, I'm not racing a race unless we have a separate start. So it's been cool to see all the things that I thought would be really crucial get introduced and just be so successful.
What made Sofia's advocacy notable was that it didn't necessarily benefit her personally. She thrives in fast, aggressive racing, and she can often hold her own alongside male competitors. But Sofia understood that for women's gravel racing to grow, both as a sport and in sponsorship opportunities, the athletes needed the chance to compete on their own terms. Taking a stand meant pushing back against the status quo, and at times, risking unpopularity. It's a different kind of battle, but one that uses the same mental toughness she's developed throughout her athletic career. What's your mentality when things get hard or just aren't going well?
Yeah, I'm lucky enough that I don't get to have that many bad days on the bike. Like, I don't know how my coach has quite sorted that out for me. But yeah, I mean, there's certain days that you have high hopes for a performance and maybe the body isn't there. And that's when I turn to like, well, let's do the best that I can on today. And maybe it's not going for the win, and it's, let's be more conservative and like try to salvage a 5th place or a 6th place, or, whatever the best will be on that day. But then I also often need to remind myself that like, if I am suffering, everybody else is suffering. And I don't think I often give myself the credit of just how good of an athlete I am. And I just think everybody else is better than me, even though my resume says otherwise. Like I definitely don't race with the confidence that I probably should all the time, having the resume that I do. But I also am the type of individual that always thrives in that underdog mentality. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a very honest person, and I have such a good relationship with my coach. She's my coach, and I joke that she's also a part-time therapist, just because we have such a good relationship, and I can really open up and kind of tell her on the things that I'm going through my head. That being said, I've gone through like not having the best public image on social, just because I was part of this series that they kind of made me the villain. And I've been working really hard to like show people the true Sofia of like, yeah, I am a cutthroat racer when I'm within the tape, but that is a very different Sofia. Like that is the Sofia that's doing her job, fulfilling what she needs to her sponsors, and it's not the same as off the bike Sofia.
How do you deal with that? Like the athletes 20 years ago didn't have to deal with social media. They just could be athletes. Now you have to be like all these things.
Yes.
And as a woman who's trying to win, like you're doing everything you can to win. And sometimes that perception isn't like, I don't know. It's kind of a double standard. It's kind of lame.
Oh, without a doubt, and I think, again, going back to me really seeing the inequality between my husband and I, like for all the things that he's praised for, I do the same and I'm criticized. So it's like he works really hard and I don't know how to have fun, or, I take it too serious. So it definitely gets me all fired up because I'm like, well, this is not fair, and I think, you don't often get female personalities that are strong. And, I've been a very confident person. And confidence in women is, there's a very fine line between that is a confident woman and perceived as like that is a beep woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I've definitely felt the double standard a lot. And, now I've done things like you can limit who can comment on your social. So that's like one of the most recent things I did. I've like limited that. So it's like, if you want to go and bully me on social media, at least follow me and you have to wait a week. So yeah. So social media can be really fulfilling in a lot of ways, but it can also crush a lot of people.
Balancing criticism and double standards while showing up to race at the highest level isn't easy. But Sofia refuses to let any of it dull her ambition or shake her confidence. You're kind of a woman that goes after wild ideas and gets them, like no matter what. You're just going to make it happen.
Yeah, and I have this quote that I kind of often say is like, I'm not a dreamer. Like I don't have dreams because I find dreams to not really be real and achievable. But a goal, if you set a goal, you can set processes and like baby goals to get you to that big goal. And it's like, okay, if you do this, then you do that. And then once you do that, you can do this. And kind of that systematic approach is something that I thrive in and very much my type of personality. So I'm a big fan of setting big goals and kind of getting after them.
What's your big goal for next year?
I really want to win Unbound again, mainly because I put an asterisk on the year that I won it because it wasn't a separate start, no drafting rules. And I really want to win it from a women's only race experience. And I'm really hungry for another one of those titles.
To follow Sofia's adventures and upcoming race season, find her on Instagram at Sophie the Via. That's SOFITHEVILLA. Wild Ideas Worth Living is part of the REI Podcast Network. It's hosted by me, Shelby Stanger, produced by Annie Fassler, Sylvia Thomas, and Sam Piers-Nitzberg of Puddle Creative. Our senior producer is Jenny Barber. Our executive producers are Paolo Motola and Joe Crosby. Thanks again to our partner, Capital One and the REI Co-op MasterCard. As always, we love it when you follow the show, take time to rate it, and write a review wherever you listen. And remember, some of the best adventures happen when you follow your wildest ideas.